Hello again, everyone. Week 2, Pandemic University. Let's begin with the word of the day. Ut searu. From the Old English, it means the worries that gather as one lies sleepless before dawn. A feeling bleakly recognizable across centuries, a word that echoes in our current moment. Boy, does it. In Swedish, it means wolf time. The wolf is at the door. Actually not, the sun just came out. Anyway, that's another good reason to get up at dawn or slightly before. Today at Pandemic U, it's Montaigne, Descartes on his birthday, and Pascal in CoPhi, and it's spiritual freedom in A and P. My short shtick: Descartes craved certainty, Montaigne repudiated it, and Pascal, though a brilliant mind and marvelous writer of thoughts, or pensées, was a bad gambler. The challenge of faith is not a coin flip. The question of our origins and destiny doesn't come down to a simple either-or between Christianity and atheism. I side, for once, with Charles Sanders Peirce, who said contrived doubts like Descartes' of his own existence are not a proper starting place in philosophy. And while Pascal's statement that our problems are largely due to our inability to sit alone in a room has real resonance at this moment, I can't relate to his fright at the silent immensity of the night sky. The eternal silence of these infinite spaces frightens me, he said. Really? It intrigues me and fills me with wondrous curiosity. It elicits my support of SETI. Montaigne, or as some say, Montaigne, remains for me the most compelling of that trio. I love that he fell off his horse and thus lost his fear of death. I love that he was a peripatetic. He said, "My mind will not budge unless my legs move it." I love his fascinated fixation on life's little details. And I love that he invented the personal essay as we know it. In a way, he was, as Sarah Bakewell has noticed, the first blogger. Maybe we can get Sarah's proxy to give us a little bit of that.
Question: how to live? Michel de Montaigne, in one question and 20 attempts at an answer. The 21st century is full of people who are full of themselves. A half-hour's trawl through the online ocean of blogs, tweets, tubes, spaces, faces, pages, and pods brings up thousands of individuals fascinated by their own personalities and shouting for attention. They go on about themselves. They diarize and chat and upload photographs of everything they do. Uninhibitedly extrovert, they also look inward as never before. Even as bloggers and networkers delve into their private experience, they communicate with their fellow humans in a shared festival of the self. Some optimists have tried to make this global meeting of minds the basis for a new approach to international relations. The historian Theodore Zeldin has founded a site called the Oxford Muse, which encourages people to put together brief self-portraits in words, describing their everyday lives and the things they have learned. They upload these for other people to read and respond to. For Zeldin, shared self-revelation is the best way to develop trust and cooperation around the planet.
Okay, well, you can hear more of that if you want to. Get the audio from audible.com, or get the book, How to Live. What is the subtitle? A Life of Montaigne in One Question and 20 Attempts at an Answer. Anyway, in A and P today, it's natural and spiritual freedom. I've already done an audio recording for that if you want to listen to it. Spiritual freedom, unlike its natural counterpart, which we share with the rest of the animal kingdom, requires, says Martin Hagland, the ability to call into question, challenge, and transform our ends. In other words, it requires philosophy, our primary tool of spiritual self-maintenance. Speaking of the other animals, not them this time. Hagland's discussion of natural and spiritual freedom reminds me of Walt Whitman and his encomium to our less internally conflicted cousins. in Song of Myself. He says, I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. I'm reminded as well of George Santayana's animal faith, which poses a nice counterpoint to both Cartesian methodological skepticism and Cartesian indubitability. Without faith of this sort, there could be no rational approach to the necessary problem of understanding and surviving in this world. Someone should work out the connections between Hagelin's and Santayana's versions of qualified faith, secular and spiritual. Both strike me as varieties of natural and humanistic freedom I can believe or have spiritual animal faith in. The first natural feature of life that our commitment to self-maintenance implies is the inherent finitude of life. We disintegrate and die when the project of self-maintenance ends. Data and Picard know that, or will in the 24th century. A butterfly that lives forever is really not a butterfly at all. It's the butterfly of the finite moment that symbolizes a happy blue sky's existence. Plus, I'm with JL. That's Jean-Luc. I don't necessarily want to live forever, but I'd take an extra healthy decade or two. Engage. Spoiler warning, Picard gets a material upgrade at the end of his first season, but his body is still as fragile and finite as a healthy 94-year-old can ever expect. Hagelin points out, even if the material we are made of were improved and made more durable, our bodies would still have to run the risk of breaking down and ending our lives. That's the risk we run as finite beings, leading vulnerable lives. If COVID-19 is good for nothing else, it's reminding us of that. To live a human life necessarily requires boldness and fortitude. That's our continuing mission. Finally, I love the walking metaphors Hagelin has sprinkled through his book. Just as a walker must project a spatial horizon, anyone who's leading her life must project the temporal horizon of her death. This is serious business, this leading of lives. And there I've got to show you a cartoon from the New Yorker. And in conclusion, for this installment, to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. You may know that line from John Prine, Godspeed, or its secular counterpart, Mr. Prine. And good luck to you all. Let me remind you to send in, at the end of the week, send in your list of everything you have posted on the site. Comments, questions, links, what have you, whatever you've shared. Each of those gets you a base. You need 8 bases per week to stay on track for your participation score. So, in addition to posting that list, appending it to your last substantive post of the week, please also email me at phil.oliver@mtsu.edu. And stay well. Keep your health, your splendid health. It's better than all the truths in the firmament. Talk to you later.